double runner-up. And I gotta talk about it because that ultimate from Zyra, the tier 2 top turret, was what gave P1 even a chance in the game.
Zyra, such a strong champion, and it's something that C9 haven't really started playing just yet. Nice to see it there from Gabe, but we'll see what happens here, because we only have one game left for the whole day, would you believe?
Welcome, other stream.
Yeah, welcome to this stream. If you're not familiar with it, we play 6 games here in our best of, 6 games total, 3 games each in our best of 3s. Let's talk about the bans though. Ash, Swain, and Trundle. The bans are from P1, and C9 there with Vladimir and Rise. See both the coaches scoring off. Charlie's gonna have to make it a good one. This is his birthday. Happy birthday, Charlie.
Yeah, and what better present than your new team beating your old team. Charlie definitely wants to win this one.
I would say outdrafting Reaper is probably a pretty good birthday present for a coach, given that his Kindred is the last ban there for C9. See what Pirean want to take for their first pick. It is going to be Rek'Sai.
All right, so Zyra falls through the cracks, and I know that Bunny Fufu can play Zyra, and they've had the Ashe-Zyra bot lane before Ashe banned away from C9 every single game, so they don't have that reliable engage, which seems to be kind of a crutch. When Cloud9 don't have that really reliable long-range engage from Sneaky, they haven't been able to close the game out. They've had to play the slow macro game and then force team fights.
Yeah, I mean, they played Bard for Bunny in game 1, so that sort of gave them an aggressive element. You saw that he was making a lot of the plays, right? But definitely need to put the power in the right hands here.
And there they go again. A lot of engage. This is what I think is going to be the key for Cloud9 here, is having the ability to actually start the fight off on your terms and have pick potential.
And it sounds silly, but even if they're playing macro games, you still need the ability to do proactive stuff. Because as soon as you find an opportunity that you can act on, you want to be able to use your champions to do that. Zivir's great for moving around the map and pushing out waves and all that macro level stuff. Bard is great for catching people out in rotation. So these two champions, in a lot of ways, are actually surprisingly good macro champions. As P1, Irelia, Zyra, if it ain't broke, no need to fix it.
Exactly.
Won the last game, easy.
Same with Zyra as well. Zyra, third highest damage in the game behind both mid laners. Out-damaged both AD carries. And that's the power of that Zyra. It's funny because it's the way that solo queue supports build, you're just like, nah, I'm not, no, AP, that doesn't have AP on it. And you just build those items. And he's able to actually do a ton of damage. Leandri's is one of his first completed ones. Had a really good performance on that Zyra.
Yeah, he did. Zyra's a champion that's kind of slowly, not even that slowly actually, making way up in the LCS, yeah.
Why she has a skin like that.
Maokai and Olaf there for C9. So curious jungler for Meteos, taking, I guess, the reign over.
Man, wonder what scrims were like. No. Meteos. Oh, this is actually quite interesting because when you pick Olaf, you aren't waiting for that late game.
Yeah.
Olaf is really good even before his first item is completed, after he gets his cooldown reduction in like 1 or 2 items. After that, he just gets some durability, and that's really what you're focusing on. And he's gonna have Ghost, so he's gonna try to dive that backline. He is the Zyra killer.
Yes.
This is his job.
Which we saw from Rainover. That was the MO. Not enough to win the game, unfortunately. But certainly enough to do damage and take out that threat. And he was a big threat for C9 there in that last game. Don't think we'll see a teamer. I can't imagine Coach Charlie's birthday draft involves a teamer. But we'll have to find out. Caitlyn's going to be locked in. They'll actually steal the Azir away as well. So Jensen's counter pick for this matchup finally pushed off Azir by Pirean.
I think he goes Viktor here and plays the opposite of the matchup.
Give me Zed.
Yeah.
It's probably not going to be Zed.
I feel like if you go that, you stack too much physical damage.
True.
Like, I probably would have said Varus and just play the opposite side of it because Jensen has a really good Varus. We have seen it before. And I assume it's going to be the Viktor here just so you have mixed damage.
That does not look like the face of a man that wants to play Varus. Who wants to kill his mid lane opponent. I mean,
play Fizz.
It'd be interesting to see what the mentality is like for Cloud9, right? It's a pretty frustrating game to lose if you've been on the other side. P1 must feel great momentum-wise moving into the final game of this best of 3.
I love these cams because it's just like Jensen.
Oh.
It looks a little frustrated. And then Sneaky looks a little frustrated. And Bunny's just really happy.
Yep.
It's like, last game I played was a slaughter. It's great.
I played Bard. We won. It was great. Hung out for an hour. Oh, you guys lost that game. Now I'm back in. I'm ready to carry. As it is the Viktor there for Jensen.
Jensen is literally tilted in his seat.
It's okay. He always plays like that. It's his secret. It's like the Hulk of tilt.
I'm always tilted.
Well, drafts are completed now. So curious to see how these comps match up. Really doesn't feel like a whole lot changed, actually. This happens a lot in best of 3s, especially when you get to the final game. You kind of take the two comps that the teams played over the first two games, and you kind of mush them together, and that's usually what happens in drafts for Game 3.
You take that, I'll take this. This beat me last time, so this is really interesting because P1 have a good top lane matchup. They have a really early pressure jungler. They have Caitlyn Zyra, very highly desired bottom lane for the laning phase. And then they have Azir for the late game. Like, overall, P1's draft is rather strong. They just lack a tank, but when you have Zyra for the disengage, you really don't need a dedicated tank for Azir.
Well, kind of interesting to see how this works out, 'cause I don't know if anyone can really predict what's going to happen after that, but we want you to tell us who is going to end the day on top. Cast your vote with either hashtag P1win or hashtag C9win. Fans are getting awfully loud. It's great to have you guys all here. Thank you so much for being with us all day long. It's been a marathon in the Battle Arena. Let me tell you.
6 games.
But it's been a whole lot of fun.
Tell me about it. I've been here for 3 games, man.
Just hanging out. As far as overall draft changes go, like you mentioned, feels like similar elements we've seen already from the first 2 games. Immediately, eyes drawn to Meteos here in the Olaf. Can he make it work?
Yeah. Ghost, such a low cooldown. Also, of course, Strength of Ages, so he's got the Insight Mastery. What Reignover did was he rushed Ionian Boots of Lucidity, so the cooldown on his Ghost was incredibly short. Right now, it's 153 seconds for Meteos, so 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So if he ends up getting just a little bit more, 10% off that, he's going to be looking great. And that's the thing, is you'll be able to use it 2 times before they get there. Basically, they flash once, and by the time they flash again, you've already ghosted twice, and you'll have your 3rd ghost.
Well, we'll have to see how that works out. So we'll do a slight pause to start this game off here. If you're just having a quick client restart, so it shouldn't be too much longer. We're into our final game. Certainly important for teams to be refocused now that we've entered this last game. Again, it must be frustrating for Cloud9. It's a long series now that they've had to play.
Yeah. You're anxious to get in.
Have to reset for game number 3. And that's really where we're going to see these coaches have that big impact. It's not just, the drafts they're preparing, how they're adapting in a best-of-3 situation now that we've gone the full 3 games. It's also making sure in the break your team is ready and reset. Because again, I said it was a frustrating loss for C9. Lots of momentum there for P1. Both teams have to make sure they come in measured, ready to play this last game. Because at this point, no one is letting go of this series without one hell of a fight.
Yeah, and I think that the team fight comp from P1 is going to suit that. But I also think that Cloud9, if they're able to go back to the first game that they had with Bunny Fufu and play that style, P1 showed that over time, they can't match it. That they're going to slow bleed, that they don't have the macro coordination yet to actually answer. And with a Bard, your magical journeys are just going to get you across the map slightly faster. And if you do that over and over again, eventually the seconds add up to minutes.
Well, we'll have to see what happens here. Will Cloud9 play the same way? Feels like the teams have sort of started to feel each other out a bit more. They tried to do it in games 1 and 2. Definitely worked in game 1, but we'll see what happens here in our final game. We're into the rift for one more time here on Saturday. P1 versus C9 has gone the distance. Let's play game 3.
Fan out. Nobody going to take the early risk here of the invade from what it looks like. But 2 members forcing. So yeah, it's going to be the top side invade, and they get the ward.
I like it. Good start there for C9.
Impact already has more CS in the first 40 seconds than Zig did in, I think, what was it, 7 minutes?
Sig was he's a good sport about it, from what I understand.
Yeah. I mean, I think Gate had actually, on Zyra, had 1 CS at that point as well. So even the support was out CSing him.
It's a sad day.
It just feels awful.
Well, let's check if we have another lane swap, because that's been the hallmark of the first 2 games.
I think so.
Up, flat piece, already gone. Gate and Slooshi here on the bottom side, setting up with the Krugs, and Sneaky, he's off.
Yeah, every time I see a Zyra, the other team lane swaps. They do not want to go up against a Zyra, and if they do, it's usually you're just kind of asking for it, because she has gank assistance. Granted, she is squishy, but her early harassment is just so brutal.
Do you not want to have to deal with that? Bunny Fufu picks up a chime. And we'll just keep things going here in another lane swap. So we've actually kind of, in a cool way, had both standard variations played of the lane swap in games 1 and 2. Curious to see which one we get here. If I had to bet, I would say we'll probably just get 2 out of Tara's Feld on either side, but we'll at least check in, because like we saw in game 1, it is the little things that matter. Pirean and Jensen, though, going to match up here as Azir versus Viktor. And for the first time this series, Jensen has swapped champions. It's not a weird thing for him to be playing Viktor, but just have to play without his Azir, which did look very good in both games that he's played already.
And he's just playing the opposite side of the matchup. And, ooh. not getting that CS, just barely. Let's see what he goes for. I believe he upgrades all the way to the red on his Hex Core immediately.
Ooh, flash from Gate.
Hey, but it's Ghost.
All right, Topping gonna chase him down. Little damage there to Gate. Jensen getting harassed by Pirean. Crushing off the old Azir here.
Yeah, they got to jungle on the strong side of the map there. Or their weak side. Cloud9, Meteos, and Impact were, yeah, the lane swap actually didn't hurt them in their jungle path right now.
Well, good news there as Bunny Fufu going to pay a visit mid lane. Pirean, though, once again, very easily dodges the gank here. Zig also in. That's a weird roam, but Bunny Fufu going to try and fight it out. Does get the Q down, but he doesn't stun. Pirean will flash out of the way. But Zig just getting slapped by the Bard. Very nice, effective roam from Bunny Fufu.
Yep. It's 2 summoners for 1, and it's on the support. So big summoner spell advantage in that mid lane. And the advantage as well that Cloud9 will eventually take is that they're going to have a triple buff. Bunny Fufu invaded and pushed them off of the blue buff on that top side on P1, so that blue buff has not been taken yet. And because Meteos was able to start on his side of the map, there's just a little bit more for them to take.
Good death ray there from Jensen. Pirean actually getting a little too low, but just going to farm out this wave and should be okay for now. Meteos though will get the 3 buff like you mentioned. Jensen's playing up here. He wants to kill so bad, but Zentinel's here now. That's going to force Jensen away. Can flash towards Meteos, but might just run it out. Meteos
oh, he stopped moving. He stopped moving.
Nice play. But I think they know, yeah. They're pinging it. They're like, I don't really want to go here. Zentinel just going to track Jensen. Stay annoying for a while. Impact takes the top lane turret, gets all the local gold. And the 3 buff will now be started for Meteos' Gate. Tanked a tower hit.
Yep. You actually saw in that minion wave that was up there by Impact, it had 1 extra caster minion in it. So able to save one in Jensen. TP. Ooh. Okay. Impact TP's in and actually cancels it. So.
Yeah. Just to make sure Jensen was okay, because Zentinel did revisit Gravity Field enough to keep the Viktor safe, but Viktor getting a little greedy there on the waves. Meteos, though, taking all the jungle. Hasn't had time to take the Gromp yet, though, but certainly up at this point in the game.
Yep. Able to go through the jungle, especially because he saw Zentinel holding mid. His Pirean needed to back after being chunked out. And that's why Jensen has to match the back. Upgraded his Hex Core once, I believe.
And 2
Actually,
Dorans.
no, it's still it's the Doran. It doesn't have 1,000.
All right. Well, double Dorans for each side then. Pink Ward up for Jensen, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, like, I always forget. It goes purple, yellow, blue, red.
Red, yeah.
Yeah. Freak taught me that it's blue for 2. That's how you know.
Oh.
And then you know the red ones, so you fill the other ones in. So I don't always know the other ones.
Oh, Impact still knocked up there, but Zig not able to capitalize with a potential stun. Impact now going to be flashless in this top side of the map. Does have a tower for safety, though. So once again, we have the uneven standard lanes. Curious to see that C9 would rather do this again than take the safe gold.
Yep. Meteos, though, level 5, has Ghost.
Going to go in for something. Zentinel locked up. Good flash. Gets out from under. Now back through the tunnel. Hello. And that's actually enough.
Yeah.
Maybe. Ghost popped again.
Zig level 3, though.
Oh, Meteos.
No twisted advance for Impact. He hasn't leveled it up, but it's a long
well,
lane.
Yeah, Undertow might just do the job here. Zig again going to get caught out, and first blood does go to Meteos.
Yep. Looking for that on the Olaf, trying to run into these lanes over and over again. So when you pick Olaf in the jungle, you want to use your Ghost cooldown every single time it's up. If you are in your jungle farming and you have Ghost, you're probably doing it wrong. You can even run from behind somebody's turret and rush through. And if you get their summoner, it's completely worth it because yours is a much lower cooldown. And he went for the boots first. You see there, Ionian Boots of Lucidity. It's a 135-second Ghost cooldown. So
awfully close to 2 minutes.
2 minutes, 15 seconds.
Damn you being good at maths.
I did the math, man.
Oh.
Yeah, most people's flashes are 300 seconds, right?
Bunny Fufu still rotating around. We kind of have a similar situation to last game. Zig will not be nearly as kept out of this lane, but every time Meteos comes to visit, especially against an Olaf, it is so frustrating to run down a long, long lane trying to escape an Olaf.
Yeah, it's quite confusing because P1 don't actually go for the opposite lane swap again. They just kind of equalize and go back to standard lanes and then put Zig. This is not the first time that they've done this.
No, they did it last game.
They put him in a long lane. That is so frightening as a top laner to be in a long lane where your opponent has a turret still. You can't do anything. And, oh, misses.
Good damage though, but might have been a kill there.
Yeah, at least a summoner if it had landed.
Instead, Meteos just going to go ahead and start this blue buff. I think wants to give it over to Jensen, who's coming back from base now with that first tech score upgrade.
He has to be a little careful. When your mid laner backs and you're doing a camp, you have to be very careful of the enemy mid laner showing up.
Well, thankfully they can see Pirean. He's hanging out in the mid lane.
He stopped doing it.
Yep. Meteos is like, oh, you weren't ready? Can I have it? No.
I mean,
okay.
Most Olafs are like, I already put in the work. Help me throw more axes. I'll never run out of mana. Fine.
Actually hiding in the bottom side. Medical journey?
They think they're being clever, but why? Okay. That's so scary. I don't know why Slooshi would back there when he just saw everybody walk through the ward. Like, if they had magical journey through the wall, he's probably dead.
What I thought was going to happen. Instead, it's just Jensen getting that blue buff.
Yeah, especially since Ragnarok, I believe, was up for Meteos, so you wouldn't even be able to stop him with the Zyra.
Back to farming though for these mid laners. So a pretty wave clear heavy matchup in game 2. In fact, I think all of our games this series have been very wave clear heavy for the mid laners. So kind of a different game than game 1, which again, I'm kind of surprised Cloud9 didn't just want to take some more towers, but Zig's certainly getting a little starved out. Impact still ahead there in the lane, but now he's got some creeps to deal with there on his side of the map. So we'll keep bouncing these waves for a while. Mid lane turret's going to stay up. And we'll see maybe if the teams have any changes in mind. Maybe an early Drake could be on the cards.
Yeah, Cloud Drake is the one that people perceive to be the weakest. And Freak will argue that statistically it is still good. But in comparison to all other Drakes you can take, it isn't as universally good. Infernal Drake, universally good. Because you will always want attack damage and attack or ability power. Mountain Drake, you're always going to interact with structures at some point in the game to end it.
Oh, it works on the Nexus? I was going to say, maybe not at the very end of the last game.
Well, you're at least killing turrets at some point.
I mean, at some point they ran out of turrets to kill. Maybe you don't want a Mountain Drake, man. Maybe we'll swap it. Give me the Cloud Drake.
Okay.
Instead, P1 is going to go ahead and take that Grump. And again, Jensen playing up. Impact, I'll lock up Zig here for a bit of damage, but Irelia is going to do Irelia things.
Yep, right out of turret range as well for Impact. So
got to make sure to push that wave in, so it bounces back. TP down. T9 again.
Yeah, that's Impact coming down with the flank.
Spotted him. Zentinel. Kind of flanking around. Gate locked up. Azir is a very vulnerable target. Does flash out for a little while longer, and the damage isn't quite there. Sneaky, though, does slay Slooshi on the right-hand side. And Gate is running for his life. Spindle his Zyra legs, can't go too far. Sneaky gets the double.
Yep. P1 caught off guard there. Zig still clearing the top wave. Perfect time for Impact to actually make that TP play. Comes in from a great angle. So far up, and that's what that's why this looks so strange, because you're seeing P1 push up so far and they aren't prepared for the play that is rather obvious from a macro perspective. You have to be ready with your teleport, or you have to put pressure on the Maokai thinking that this will happen when your entire team is up this far.
Creative flash there. Yep. Things up. Gate gets away. Slooshi not so lucky.
Yep. Gate not also lucky either.
No.
Gets away.
Doesn't really have anywhere to run to. Sneaky snaps his head off with a boomerang. Trust me, that happens. I would know. Pirean still farming up though. Working towards an early stinger. Will be Nash's Tooth as the standard here. Trinity Force also on the way for Zig. Got his stinger and that fade. So no Sheen. Wanted to have a bit more health. Farming Cinder there for Impact. So again, little things do matter here. So I'm going to give that blue buff over and settle in for another medium-paced early game.
Yeah, CS looking pretty good across the board for Cloud9. Up in that bottom lane, Sneaky, 2 levels up over Slooshi. Mostly because Slooshi had been split in experience for a good while, and he's also down now, top of those kills. So Sneaky's just in a really good spot now on the Sivir to succeed.
Well, always what you want. Sneaky picks Sivir, I believe, every single game this series. So if he wants to have...
No, he had Caitlyn last game.
he did too. Yeah. I guess Slooshi stole it.
It's taken away.
Meteos farming up well, actually.
Oh, he'll probably pop Ghost and rush him, but nope. Just throws it through. All right.
Doesn't commit. Maybe worried about damage there.
Yeah, you don't also know where Rek'Sai is at the moment.
Well, level 8, so usually everywhere. Cloud Drake?
Yep.
Hey.
Looks like it's Cloud Drake.
All right, so C9 this is a kind of a change, actually. We saw really turret-heavy focus for a lot of these teams, especially Cloud9 for the first 2 games. They're finally realizing, okay, we can't really knock down these turrets. We have a bunch of long waves to deal with. So it's going to go ahead and take the Drake. Sure, it's you know, it's Cloud. It's not great, but Mountain's coming up next. C9 can maybe find a different avenue into this game by playing around the Drakes this time around.
Yeah, I don't think they need to find too many new avenues either. Slooshi by himself. I believe they saw him back, and here comes the cavalry.
Bunny Fufu moving in with a medical journey. That's 2, and now Meteos is going to charge in there. Good ult from Slooshi. And they'll try and line up this stun. Slooshi getting it locked up, and Bunny Fufu, a well-earned kill.
Super late TP as well from Zig if he was going to do that. And Jensen has to flash away, blows both summoner spells, flash and heal against Pirean in a 1v1.
Very impressive from Pirean. He went from struggling versus the Azir in game 1 to actually bullying Jensen now on the same pick, almost getting himself a solo queue. Zentinel not there in time to try and clean things up on the back end, but C9 with the Bard starting to play a bit more proactively. Oh! What? Good clutch stun! Zentinel locked under the tower. Needs more damage though.
He's got an exhaust. I don't know if he's even going to use it.
There's Zentinel's flash. Gonna ulti out. Needs some damage. Oh,
he got him.
And Bunny Fufu gonna give Sneaky another kill. That was quite the interaction. Bunny Fufu. The one true Bard God.
Oh, man. Bunny Fufu. He didn't mean to click on that. That was quite a strange interaction because the knock-up and then immediately takes it was not what he was looking for.
Well, getting good awareness there from Bunny to flash past him. We'll have a watch of this one again. This is great.
Knock-up, knocks him back, and he's like, hey, by the way, alley-oop, I'm behind you now. And then gets him underneath the turret. And we can't talk about it because there's more.
Yeah, Impact locking down Zig on the bottom side. Twisted advance in. Sneaky. His 4th straight kill of the game. He's making it look easy.
Yeah, it's looking a lot like game 1 over again here. The plays from Cloud9, they're really fast about this. As they approach the 15-minute mark, they're looking at a 4,000 gold lead, which is more than what they had in that game 1 as a gold lead at 15 minutes.
And you know what? They're done playing super heavy macro style this time around. They're just going to make sure they play, you know, a bit more aggressive, take the opportunities that are presented to them. Brute force. Use Bunny's Bard to open up the positions that they've created. And it's working a whole lot better so far. P1 backs up against it. This is a big early deficit.
I think also the fact that they have picked champions is really helping Cloud9 out. The Sivir in the game 1 and here, and the Bard allows them to pick these fights, allows them to pick off people who are uncoordinated with the main squad. And that's what you need to do against P1 if you want to just win the game outright, is try to capitalize on the fact that they have not been together for a long time. And Slooshi's like an AD carry pushing top, right? There's nothing he can do if a fight breaks out.
No, it does get a tower though, so it evens that up at least. Kevin will be happy for the gold. C9 still up by about 3k though. Meteos also stole away the red buff because he's a jerk, but also because it's good to get jungle, and Meteos does like to play aggressively. I'm kidding, of course, as Pirean takes some damage here from the ulti. Solo kill time! Jensen! He's the one that gets the 1v1.
Yep. Looks like Jensen ends up getting the kill there. Just complete outplay of 1v1. Going back and forth. Oh, man. The damage from the ultimate. Pirean tried to flash, it was just so much. And Slooshi.
Yeah, lined up again. Gravity field down. Slooshi pretty much going to be insta-stun. Meteos going to try and take him out. But the ulti from Zyra earns the rest of C9 away. Zig TP's in and takes one down. Now Bunny Fufu chased out there, goes through the magical journey, has to wait, but they do stagger it. The damage though turns it around to Sneaky. Just kills everyone. Sneaky gonna flash forward and take out Slooshi for the double.
Literally everyone. He goes after the entire remaining forces of P1. And that knockup that was not something that connected from Zentinel. If Zentinel had knocked up Bunny Fufu as he was entering the magical journey, they wouldn't have had to overextend to get underneath that turret and actually be in range of Sneaky Sivir. When we watch that again, that's what you need to watch out for.
Well, this tower's going to go down, so C9's starting to play way faster in this particular game. Again, I talked about it being a draining series. C9 saying, you know what? Maybe we just get it over with. We're tired.
They want to go home. They're done.
I don't want to go home. I want to watch my League of Legends.
They want to.
Yeah, probably.
Have it be over with.
More than anything, I think I just want to claim the series. But P1 do have the same objective. Cloud9 definitely off to a nice early lead.
Yeah, especially Sneaky. 6-0 and 2. Level up, almost 2 levels up over Slooshi. Just really, really good time here for him. Looking at his gold, multiple thousands up at this point. The 1v1 pushes him, gets stunned, and has to eat all that damage where he's not returning. So the gravity field is the big MVP there from Jensen, right on the edge. And as everybody rushes by, Slooshi, no flash, gonna get picked up immediately afterwards, but no. Meteos walks it out, gets killed, and now it looks like it's gonna be awful. And this right here, oh, Zentinel went too far. Didn't get the knock up on Bunny Fufu. He goes through, and now everybody's in this choke point where Jensen and Sneaky are just throwing all of their damage at him.
C9, 10 kills to 1 right now.
Oh, okay. I was like, he's not gonna chase, is he?
You never know.
Yeah.
In fact, probably thought about it, but decides against it. Uses that better judgment. 30 seconds, sorry, till the next Drake. It will be Mountain Drake. So given the pace C9 are playing at, they'll try and take it and maybe shove down some structures. They are starting to convert their kills into different leads around the map as well. It's a far cry from the Game 1 macro game we saw them play, but again, unsurprisingly, the series moves on because they're playing sort of an amalgamation of the styles they've shown in this series.
Yeah, Cloud9 are definitely, I would even say, playing better. It's a little bit riskier, but they've mounted a larger gold lead in this game at the same time than they had in the first game. So although they're playing a little bit what would be perceived as like sloppier, they're still taking more of the opportunities that they're seeing as opposed to letting them pass, not punishing.
Yep, definitely picked for it. Felt like they sort of fell asleep at the wheel a bit in the macro game for game 2, so good to see them back on top of it here. P1 now still mounting a defense and farming away. Azir will be quite strong. Actually, Zig's nice and strong as well. That Trinity Force, and C9 going to go ahead and take this second Drake for themselves. Mountain Drake now in their hands as Bunny Fufu once again straight back into the enemy jungle with the rest of the team. Aggressive invade here from C9. Ultis
No
gets
flash.
2.
Gate doesn't have flash.
And they line it up. Gate absolutely dead. Meteos takes him out. Now Slooshi going to get dove. Can't stop the Olaf, and Sneaky now godlike gets another kill.
It's the pick potential. Cloud9 love picking people off. And Bunny Fufu, it's been his expertise since day one. The guy was a Thresh player. And he's coming back in, getting them their 2 victories here if this ends up being theirs. But look at that.
Pirean moves Impact back in, but they have to defend this turret. Jensen stunned up in the front. C9 is trying to do damage to this turret. Impact will live. That turret got awfully low. Will regen, unfortunately. C9 have to back squad out. Back to the Krugs. Everyone's going to go back and heal up. Sneaky, no. He thinks better of it.
One more wave.
Going to take the wave.
One more wave.
Well, he's very strong, so I don't really blame him.
Yeah.
But I agree. Bunny's been having a great game so far.
Exactly. I think that this duo has ended up doing work. Slooshi has flash, so he'll flash afterwards, but it's already enough time for them to close the distance. Gate doesn't have that luxury, so keeping the flash timers there and using them and abusing it on the people that don't have it available.
And the Sivir Olaf Bard looking pretty good so far. C9 sticking together and finding the picks constantly here. And it's not going to get easier, unfortunately, for P1. Jensen actually went first item Rylai's.
Yeah.
Accentuating more of that catch potential.
Yeah. It's the choice that we've been seeing. It seems pretty flexible for Viktor. Seems really flexible for them. You pretty much just have to get your upgrade for your Death Ray. And then afterwards, you're like, okay, do I go all the way? Do I get the Rylai's? And it looks like it's the Rylai's for him, but I expect the Hex Core rank 3 to be the final one.
Funnel up as the next Drake as well, so Cloud9, if they continue that control, looking good as they move through here. Sneaky though, have to keep watching him. 703, ulti popped again.
They see Zig is not in position.
No pick this time, maybe on Zentinel. Sneaky's not doing insignificant damage, because that is a very squishy Rek'Sai at this stage. Talked about already, 703 having a huge game so far, and he's almost at Infinity Edge.
Yeah, I think he's just like a flat item up over Slooshi. I'd love to see the gold here because it's 3,000. It's 3,000 gold up between Sneaky and Slooshi.
Pretty much a flat item at this stage, and Slooshi gonna have to put the Rune and Hurricane into overtime. Start farming up some minions. As Cloud9 maybe even posturing aggressively towards the Baron side of the map. They know Drake's not up for a few minutes, so more than content to try and get vision now that that objective has spawned as well. And Sneaky top lane busy pushing things out, while P1 is sort of still busy fiddling with this mid turret, hoping it goes down, but Gatekeeper Jensen there in 2-0-3 with the Viktor. Awfully hard to break this mid.
Not really anything going to come of that. But yeah, they can't break that mid just yet. The Viktor wave clear, incredibly potent. The Death Ray.
Oh my god.
Speaking of death.
Jensen just stops. He's like, yep, that was me.
Zap those plants.
Oh yeah, bit of extra cold. But That was a ridiculous amount of damage on the Pirean. Sad to see why people like picking Viktor into Azir.
Jensen's like, you got player of the game. It was my player of the game. I mean, granted, Jensen was working really hard. If that game had gone over, it probably would have been Jensen.
Zentinel trying to check. Everyone's in again. Ulti's out from Sivir. Bunny Fufu probably looking for the Tempered Fate. Throws one onto Slooshi. Impact gonna move in. Slooshi, I'm sorry. Oh no, Sneaky gonna chase you. He will crit your face off. And now Impact actually diving the turret with Meteos. No one else gets caught. Zig actually caught in there in the binding, but they might redive. Not just yet. Death Ray out.
Yeah, Bunny Fufu is just picking on whoever doesn't have flash. Gate didn't have it either, and he goes, nope, yep. Slooshi's way more important to take off the field right now. Get Sneaky even further ahead and just have that gigantic delta in 80 carry gold.
Well, P1 defend that tier 2 for now, but it just seems really simple for C9 right now. Get your vision down, get your ultis up, use them, find someone, kill them, figure out what to do next.
Rinse, repeat.
8,000 gold up already.
Rinse, repeat, rinse and repeat over and over again. And eventually you'll be able to take the Baron. Impact looking for a TP play.
Hanging out in base. Sentinel not really safe to go near in jungle. Up Burrow! That is bold. Meteos throws a few axes back in, and Jensen's just one-shotting people. Talked about poor Zyra.
Yeah, no assist on that either. It's so squishy. And Impact goes, well, I guess I don't need to stay in the base anymore. Wasted time.
Hold on. Better walk back out towards this Baron, because I think that's where C9 might set up next.
Yeah, I am not needed there.
Break up in a minute as well. So options here for Cloud9. Jensen, the Viktor flank. Pirean looks awfully squishy right now. Meteos coming around. Oh no.
Oh boy.
Sivir ulti. Magical journey through. Flash forward for Impact. Not going to lock it down. There's one onto Zig. Bunny Fufu ready with a stun. Zig, I'm not sure he can run. There's the flash, and Bunny Fufu has a Tempered Fate now. Sort of ready to go. Is he Magical Journey again? Yeah, he's going to wait. Go through. They're going to keep chasing onto Zig here. There's the ulti. And now the rest of Cloud9 are here. Lock up. There's one. There's two. Missed the stun. Oh, Zig's Blade Surge away might be okay, but Jensen's going to say no. And Zig's top says, yeah, you got me.
Yep. Got him. At that point, he has the Rylai slow, so no problem there keeping up. And meanwhile, the push just comes out on top lane from Slooshi. And now they're going to come in mid lane from Cloud9. But the fact that they're using this combo so effectively with Sneaky and Bunny Fufu, the Sivir ultimate is going to put Bard in range for the pretty much undodgeable Tempered Fate because it scales with travel time based on how far away you are. So it's got actual travel time as a set missile side. Set missile speed.
And you mentioned it already, Bunny's really just picking on people without flash. They chased Zig for so long. Wait up to this, oh no flash, and they went in for it, but a desperate play here. The ulti used for plants, look at the plants go! Smashing down the Baron, but Bunny Fufu, this is a juicy ulti, but it's down, and P1, he can get away with this. Meteos is in! They do not get the Baron though, but P1 getting shredded on the other side gate. Slowed by a Cosmic Binding as Zig's now caught up in the pit. Jensen gonna move in, Zig's gonna do what work he can.
Is he the only one that dies?
Yeah, for now.
Oh, Gate has to back like now. And they don't even pick him off, they don't even continue. Oh, that's Baron for one.
Really clever by P1.
Yeah, P1 just rush it. Set up in the Baron pit, have the Azir. It's a lot of damage on top of the Zyra. Yeah.
Didn't they do this already in this series?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what P1 will be known for. The most aggressive Baron calls known to man.
Being multiple thousands of gold down, 7,000 gold down, and getting the Baron. And now they're looking at Infernal. Like, P1 are going to start playing like there's no gold difference at all very shortly. Just don't look at the 17.
Are we sure High isn't playing on P1? That's a high tier Baron call.
Really good point. You would think that some of these members, Jensen and Sneaky, would be kind of familiar with the situation in which you would sneak a Baron.
Well, again, Cloud9 kind of still working on that team synergy. Pirean, though, going to knock Impact back in, but the rest of Cloud9's chasing him. Bunny Fufu, ulti's at the ready. Flashes in, and that's it. Arms it. Doesn't get it. Nice forward step, but is that enough? Zig's there to protect him. Axe misses.
They're buying time. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. He's going up.
Oh, Hatsu got caught off by
he's giving him the okie doke. That's going to be Slooshi pushing bot side.
We solved it.
He's got Baron buff.
Yeah.
So he might get an inhibitor if they keep this up. There's 3 people chasing one guy. And on that bottom side, that might be outnumbered on Sneaky. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, we'll keep running in.
It doesn't matter.
Whoa, Sneaky just comes up with a double somehow. Cross-map play attempted by P1. Slooshi's still going. Going to be pushing away. He will break here.
Oh, but here comes Jensen. And Slooshi hasn't even set up traps or anything like that. Tower goes down. Likely a trade in towers right now. And there goes the inhib as well.
Feels like C9 know what they want to do here. It's a little scrappy.
Yeah.
It's definitely a little scrappy, but it's making it work so far. 20 kills to 1. I feel like they've almost quadrupled the amount of kills in the last 2 games. There's a lot to this stage in the game. And Jensen managing to stop Slooshi there, who, to his credit, was trying to push as hard as he could.
Yeah. And buying time. I thought this was going to be a 3-on-2, but Zentinel a little bit late because everybody else was early. And Sneaky is 9-0-5 now.
Yeah, it's probably something to do with the 3-item Sivir at 25 minutes.
Probably.
Causing all the issues. Cloud9 are also obscenely ahead in gold. 8K and counting. Sneaky has the lion's share of that gold lead. They'll get an Infernal Drake as well. And Sneaky's damage increases. Cloud9 really putting the screws in this game. Playing much faster after their first 2 games. Definitely corrected a lot of things we've seen earlier in the series.
Yeah, I think the Olaf pick at the very beginning to get some summoner spells and the rush down were crucial in getting Sneaky some kills. And then Bunny Fufu took over with his picks as Jensen was just wrecking the mid lane with the solo kill. So everybody's kind of been doing their part in this match to make it come to this point where they're already 8,000 gold up at 28 minutes.
Brown has dropped though. T1 did manage to sneak that away, so not obvious where Cloud9 should play next. Next Drake will be Cloud. Isn't up for a little while as Pirean's going to go ahead and get his blue buff. Zig taking some damage. Cena looking for a dive here.
Gonna go around the back. They can reach Pirean.
Waiting for Meteos to rejoin the team as well, but pretty effective siege here for C9. They know they can't actually straight up siege, so they're just threatening dives consistently. Top lane supers are pushing in, so C9 just have to wait and buy some time.
Yep, if Bunny Fufu ulties the turret, there's a flash twisted advance from Impact. There is the possibility of forcing this. See if Cloud9 don't let that last game shake them up. What happened in the top tier 2, and just try to go for it because this top has super minions in it. Gonna have some time, and there they go.
Yeah, goes right in for it. They get the turret and 2 on there as well. Pirean just gonna get destroyed as Jensen goes legendary. Zyra ulti gets a few, but it's just not enough to disengage. And Jensen flashes forward, takes out Slooshi, gets a triple kill by taking out Zyra. And Zig running away. 3 of his teammates dead already, and C9 are pushing in to end the game.
They want to go home. Jensen says, you know what? Last game was a fluke, and carries this one with his entire team, and Cloud9 looked great in that one.
The dual carries of C9 team up for a huge scoreline, 20-0-11. Jensen and Sneaky go off and push Cloud9 to a series win. It was a slog, but they got there in the end, and that's what counts in best of 3s.
It's a marathon, it's not a sprint.
You're telling me.
Exactly, and they ended up taking it 2-1, but every game very different than the previous one. First game, all macro for Cloud9, by the book. Game 2, really some mistakes that P1 were able to capitalize on, and it just came down to the team fight. This one was just force it. This is what I was expecting in game 1, and throughout the entire series from Cloud9 was the lack of hesitation. That was a play that you could see coming a mile away. You're just like, he has no flash, flash twisted in advance, ultied the turret with Bard, and they had time to set it up.
And what's the biggest difference? Hard to say this yet, but we asked the question at the top of the series. What's the real difference between the 2 supports they're currently subbing in? I mean, one of them plays Bard, one of them plays Karma. Is apparently part of the difference, but maybe Bunny Fufu is at least a proactive element they'll need sometimes. Because there's 2 games in this series, that's exactly what he showed.
Yeah. And it always has to be that tempered aggression as well. Because the way that they started losing the second game was because they were out macroing, right? Zig had so little farm. P1 had messed up that lane swap. And it was the dive. So the tower dive is really the aggressive call, so you have to temper that aggression. And the question is whether or not that was Smoothie, whether or not that was the team as a whole. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to Smoothie and say, you know what, probably wasn't. But they got straight up outplayed by Gate in that one. And this game, completely different because Bunny.
Yeah, Bunny played an awesome Bard game there. And C9 do take victory. Have to give credit to P1 though. That was a well-fought series. And again, given the circumstances coming into this best of, the fact that they were able to win a game was very well done. And just in general, we keep talking about P1. Yes, they might look like the weakest team currently in the league, but they just keep impressing us. And with that roster of all things, A very impressive win versus C9, so still credit there.
Yeah, the roster put together kind of last minute.
Very last
and
minute,
like you
from what I
said,
understand.
don't have intended starting jungler either. Nori, not here at the moment. And right now, they look like they're individually skilled. They have some degree of knowledge about the game and macro and stuff like that. But it's just bringing it all together, making sure that everybody's on the same page, need leadership as well, and direction. Because in the game, you should always be saying, what are we trying to do next? What is the next step for us? Because as soon as you start sitting on your hands and you're not accomplishing something, even if it's like, oh, I'm going to shove this wave out, like shove it out for what purpose later.
And I think we can apply the same thing to Cloud9. Like, the moments they showed were very, very brilliant. And in the first 2 games, they definitely showed strong macro play, but it kind of just fell apart in the middle of game 2 somewhere. P1 found some fights. It's like, oh, we can just win now. And eventually managed to win that game. But Cloud9 had all the tools there to take over in a huge way with the way they were playing around the map. So definitely some things to tighten up there for C9.
Yeah, a lot of things. You have to go look at those replays. I'm sure Reaper will be talking to them about it.
I can't imagine that no game ends and Reaper doesn't have strong words for his team, but we are done with this one. So let's send it down to Jat.